Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar and virtual event, Mobile Marketing 101 Strategies for App Growth. I'm Ryan Burns. I'm the head of community for the Startup Network, and it's really great to have you, here with us. At the TSN, we're really passionate about empowering founders and startups, providing the resources, tools, and even the events to thrive in today's dynamic tech landscape. We're excited to partner with Appomate again for this event, bringing you expert insights into the world of mobile marketing. Today's session, Mobile Marketing 101, it's all about unraveling the complexities of mobile marketing and equipping you with the practical strategies to elevate your app and to elevate that app's growth. Whether you're a marketer, app developer, or a business leader, this webinar will provide valuable knowledge on how to enhance app visibility, drive user acquisition, and even increase conversions. So today what we're going to cover is App Store optimization, learning the secrets to optimize your App Store presence to attract more downloads and stand out in a crowded market, paid user acquisition for mobile apps. So you're going to discover effective strategies for driving high quality traffic and expanding your user base through paid channels. And also product-led growth, explore how to leverage your product as a primary driver of growth, and hopefully fostering organic user acquisition and retention. And then finally, key metrics for sustainable growth, understanding the crucial metrics you need to track to ensure long-term success and sustainable growth. And we're really thrilled to have some industry leaders from Appomate with us today. Tegan will be jumping on here in a second, but they're going to share their innovative approaches and proven strategies. There's also going to be an interactive Q&A session. So during the event, please feel free to put your questions into the chat. I'll make sure that we get to them at the end. As I said before, this is all recorded, so you feel free to get up and go get yourself coffee, or if you have to excuse yourself, don't worry, this will all be available afterwards. But yeah, we'll address the questions at the end of the presentation, the Q&A session. And then don't miss this opportunity to gain in actual insights and connect with other fellow marketers. If you see somebody asking you another question that's very similar, feel free to interact with each other. This is all about what this community is about. And then here at the Startup Network, we have a lot of events. In fact, this week alone, we have 5. So this is one of our virtual event series. We run in-person, virtual, workshops, hackathons, everything along the way. If you're not a member with us now, consider joining us. We're the only folks on the block that help early stage founders, and that's pretty much our only mandate. We're not a co-working space. We're not a VC fund. We don't have sort of magic guy in the background that's looking to make money off you. It's really just me and a small team of people looking to help early stage founders. And the only way we exist is because of our members and our amazing partners like Appomate, who will allow us to do this work, which is so important. So enough about me, enough about what we do. Let's get to the good stuff. Tegan, why don't you take us away into the world of mobile marketing 101?
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Well, I appreciate you all for joining us here today. So let me quickly share my screen and I can jump right into things. Can everyone see this all right? Just want to make sure we're all on the same page here.
You're all good, mate.
Yep. Perfect.
Yep, all good.
So yeah, as Ryan was mentioning, today we'll really look into the mobile marketing space and what it takes to grow an app, to really launch into this space, find your initial market, and find eventual success. So the truth is, most apps don't make it. Out of millions of apps in the world that are launched, 52% fail to even reach 1,000 installs. However, this is a space that is giant. There's room for new entries. There's room for everyone. The iOS store alone last year had $89 billion of revenue. And if you add in the additional $47 billion of revenue from the Google Play Store, you can clearly see that this is a giant space. So why do so many of these apps fail to really reach or get over that initial growth hurdle of 1,000 installs? So there's a number of different reasons for it, but usually they fall under one of these four categories: product strategy, marketing and user acquisition, financial, and data. So let's first take a look at common product fail points, things that can lead to an app business falling apart. The first one that I see quite often is the belief that everyone is your target market. I really subscribe to the philosophy that if you build a product for everyone, you have built the product for no one. And if you kind of believe that your product is addressable for every single person in the world, you're going to have significant challenges throughout. You're going to have challenges in terms of the product. You won't know what features your audience is really going to care about in the future. You're going to have challenges with marketing. You're not going to know what messaging is actually going to convert interest into installs. The next major fail point that I see quite often is poor or no market research, just a lack of understanding of the specific industry that people are going into, not understanding what competitors are doing, not understanding where the potential opportunities lie in the market and where there is access demand ready for the taking. The next one is getting stuck in the pre-launch phase. So continuing to build out a product, and sometimes this can span years, and continue to develop, but they're lacking the key ingredient. They're not getting any feedback from their eventual user base. They're essentially creating the product for themselves. So the best way to do it there is launch an MVP, get it out to the market, and get user feedback and build the product with your user base. The next major common pitfall that I see is a lack of entrepreneur product match. So this can rear its head in a couple of different ways. One way is someone that is trying to create a product that they don't really know that much about, or they are not part of the target demographic. Let's take a meditation app, for example. Someone who just started meditating a month ago, but they're trying to create a product for people that have been meditating for 10 plus years. They're just not going to completely understand the nuance of what those people would actually want from a product like this. Another way that this can present itself is through the lack of specific skill sets that are very, very valuable in a mobile app business. The three core skill sets that I see is developer, technical skill set, growth marketing, and then design. So being able to build the product yourself, being able to get people to download it yourself, or be able to design the app, design the overall user journey, and create content yourself. The reason why one of these skill sets is very important, and I'm not saying you definitely need one of those skill sets, it just significantly reduces the overall costs that you're going to face in this space if you can take on one of those yourself. If you do not have one of those skill sets, you're going to be forced to partner with someone that can wear that hat for you. And if you're not wearing one of those really crucial hats, you're going to have to find another way of providing really big value to the business. There's definitely other things that you can do. You can go out and raise capital, because capital is always really key for the growth of a digital business. You can be posting content across social media. You can be creating a following that will lead to installs in the long run. So there is other stuff that you can do to really make up for that. Next is not collecting and implementing user feedback. So just building the product for yourself, as I was mentioning before. And finally, a lack of product updates and overall product roadmap. So there is a belief with some people that you build an app, you launch it into the market, and all of a sudden it's going to be successful. This is just not the case. Products that become successful are constantly testing, constantly iterating on that initial MVP, and creating a product over time that really converts and is really powerful in terms of converting interest into actual paying customers. The next major area of potential fail points is around marketing and user acquisition. The first one is too much focus on install and not on users. So it's very easy to get installs. Like you can get installs for 50 cents, but the quality of traffic is the most important thing. If you're going to third-party ad networks, if you're putting ads in different countries that have a little bit lower tier traffic in terms of likelihood to convert into a paying customer, you're getting more installs, but you're not actually building up the paying user base. So you want to be focused on building out paying customers, not so focused on the vanity metric of installs. Next is a failure to get cost-effective installs. So not being able to optimize user acquisition campaigns, not being able to make the unit economics work for the business. Thirdly, spreading budget too thin across different ad channels. So let's say that you have a budget of $5,000 ad spend. There's some companies out there that start spreading that in $1,000 here, $1,000 here, $1,000 here, $1,000 here. Whereas you really want to be hyper-focused in your marketing efforts. You want to find one, maybe two channels to really focus on, fully understand how that algorithm works and how you can really use it to your advantage to get the most bang for your buck. And then finally, scaling up marketing spend before proving out the conversion funnel. So being too focused on really trying to get as many installs as possible. There's a lot of time that I've talked to people that want to get 100,000 installs tomorrow, and they just focus on spending a lot of money on user acquisition, but not enough on how well the actual product is going to work. How well does the onboarding flow convert them into a paying customer? For financial fail points, there's one, lack of funding. Funding is massive in this space. And I'm not saying that it's impossible to bootstrap a company. There's many examples of companies that are able to do that and become wildly successful. However, it does put in some constraints to your growth in terms of what strategies you can implement. If you have a limited budget, you're not going to be able to go out there and hire the most expensive developer in the world. You're going to have to really find one that you can work with over time, and it's going to take a little bit more time to actually go to market. And then on the marketing side, you may not be able to afford a paid user acquisition campaign of $5,000 a month. So you're then needing to come up with another strategy to get those users. So an avenue that you could go down is organic content, putting out content across different social media platforms to really get your brand out there, to make sure people know what you're doing, know what you're all about, and making sure that you find your audience. And then lastly, a poor monetization strategy, or just saying, I'll figure that piece out later. The monetization of a mobile app is of critical importance. If you don't figure it out fairly quickly, you're just going to be burning money pretty much infinitely, because you're going to want more and more users, and then you're going to say, okay, once I reach 20,000 users, I'm going to try to implement a monetization strategy. But when 20,000 users comes around, you're going to be forced with the challenge of converting those users that were getting your platform for free into a paid user. And there's going to be resistance. A recent example of this is Reddit. After their IPO, they've been trying to implement more monetization strategies, and they've had massive pushback from their audience. So making sure that you're planning out that monetization piece right from the start to make sure that you have a business model in place that is scalable. And then a bonus tip here is making sure that you apply for the startup programs for the app stores. This reduces their cut from 30% down to 15%. So if you're under $1 million revenue over the past calendar year, 100% go sign up for that immediately. And then from a data perspective, the non-existent or incomplete data tracking. So essentially flying blind, not knowing what is working well, what is not working, and just unable to really figure out what path that they should take moving forward. And then being forced to actually make decisions based off this incomplete data. You may make a decision that cuts off your most profitable ad, or you may stop or change a feature in app that really upsets your audience. And then finally, a failure to listen to the data. So if you have set up all the data in the right way, you want to make sure that you're consulting that data with every decision that you make, and make sure that you are making decisions that is going to drive user growth. They may be against your initial product vision. Your product may start going in a different direction, but that's the whole point of building the product with your users. So first, I'm going to jump into some product strategies. So some strategies that you can implement in order to make sure that your product is a self-growing and self-sustaining machine. So the first strategy is launch an MVP. Launch a minimal viable product into the market with your core features first. The main reasons why you do this is, first, it's faster to market, faster to revenue generation, minimizes your financial risk. Instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the development piece, you may spend $20,000 to $60,000 on that piece and get into the market, get that real world data, understand if your app is actually in demand, if people really want what you have to do. And it's also much easier to pivot in this case. If you build out a product all the way to the nth degree, and you've spent $500,000 on that product, it's going to be much more difficult to steer it in a new direction from there. Some action items here. First, ask yourself, what are the core features of your app that you could validate? Like the most stripped down version of the app that you could build out and put in the market to see what the adoption is. An even lower cost strategy that you could implement here is just build a landing page. Build a landing page with your core value proposition, what you're all about, what you're planning on building, and put a small ad budget towards it. Spend $500, $1,000 on validating that specific market. Validate if people actually care about this enough to go in, put their email down, and opt in to being informed in the future about any future progress. That can greatly reduce your financial risk. And a real life example of launching an MVP is Facebook. Facebook is the classic example of this. They started as a student message board. They were not trying to be the biggest social media platform in the world from day one. They found an initial market, and then they tested and iterated and eventually became what they are today. The second strategy is around clearly defining your initial target market. So you want to create and validate detailed user personas and use cases for your app. Why this is important is it allows focused feature development that truly meets your users' needs, enables precise, effective marketing messaging, and increases the likelihood of product market fit. Some action items here is conducting user interviews and surveys to identify specific needs and gaps in existing offerings. As I was mentioning on the previous slide, you can run advertisement campaign to really test out the demand for that specific market with your product. Yeah, that can be a really good low cost step to validate the demand before you really go forward and spend a lot of money on a product. A real world example of this is DoorDash. DoorDash started by targeting college students and tested the demand by putting up flyers around campus before building out their platform. So they really knew this market. They offered really cheap discounts on food to college students. College students need to eat, so that obviously was a big piece for them. But also, college students need extra cash. They need side hustles that can give them a little bit of extra money. So they were also targeting their target demographic for the driver side. So they were able to fulfill both sides of the market with one specific campaign. The third strategy that I've kind of mentioned already, but it is very important. Build with your users. Ask for and implement user feedback at every stage of your growth. Why it's important is it keeps the product aligned with user expectations, increases user engagement and loyalty, and provides a constant source of ideas for improvement and innovation. So some action items here is implementing user feedback section in your settings, and send out customer satisfaction emails for what features people want to see in the future. You can also track data on the back end to understand, okay, well, what are people using? Is there certain features that everyone is going forward with? Are they really using certain pieces of content? And is there other content that just no one is using at all? That can really feed you with the necessary data to know what you should be innovating next in your product. An example of a company that does this with everything they do is Netflix. Their entire platform is built upon feedback and giving people what they want to see. They track how many people are watching a particular show to determine if they should renew it for the next season. They see if people are liking or disliking a certain show, so that they know what type of content they should be providing their users moving forward. The next product strategy is engineering virality. So implement features that incentivize users to bring their friends and family onto the app. So why this is important is it increases user engagement and loyalty, reduces customer acquisition cost. And some action items here to implement this in your product would be build a referral program. Allow users to earn premium features by sending this app to others. A way that I've implemented this in the past is creating a referral program that every single time someone invited 5 of their friends onto the app, they would get 6 months free subscription. And if they invited a total of 20 people onto the app, they got a lifetime subscription. So giving away something that really doesn't cost you anything, but can be huge for the growth of the platform, is a really good strategy to implement. Another potential action item here is adding social features, challenges, community boards, leaderboards. You do want to be careful with this. Don't add social features to something that really doesn't need social features. Like if you are a death planning app or a will app, those don't need social features. Don't try to add social features to everything. That has seemed to be a trend in the space over the past couple of years, where everything is becoming social. So if it applies to you, absolutely make sure that you are fully implementing those features. But if your product just isn't that social of a product, don't force it. A real world example of a company that has really engineered this virality in their growth is Uber. So when Uber was first getting started, they implemented a dual-sided referral approach. So they had a program for both riders as well as drivers to invite their friends and family onto the app. So on the driver's side, if you invited a friend and they became a driver, you'd get a one-time cash payment. And then on the rider side, if you invited people on you would get a free ride. So it can be a really great way of incentivizing your users to really be the marketers for you, grow your app with you. Strategy 5 is conversion optimization. So you want to focus on optimizing your onboarding and conversion funnel with product testing before scaling up ad budgets. So why this is important is it maximizes return on ad spend, ROAS, identifies exact parts of your app where people are dropping off, and it enables scalable user growth. Some action items here is ensure you have a tech stack in place that allows you to see what exact screen people are dropping off. So a free tool that you can implement is Firebase, and then set up events for pretty much every screen that you have in the app. And you'll be able to see the exact point of the overall app funnel where people are dropping out. The next thing is to conduct product A/B tests to really optimize this funnel to make sure that people are engaged and converting into paying customers. Some best practices of designing this onboarding process is continue selling, continue the same messaging that you have on your App Store page, the same messaging you have in your marketing, and continue to reiterate the main value of your app, why people clicked on your app in the first place. For subscription apps, you definitely want to make sure that you hit them with a paywall at the peak of excitement. Kind of work through that onboarding process, building up excitement, reiterating the core value propositions, maybe asking some engaging questions that kind of positions yourself as the solution to their stated problem. And make sure that you research other apps that are generating revenue to see how they onboard users. And then finally, aim to convert on day one. So in the mobile space, the retention rates, they drop off every single day. After 30 days, it's roughly 2 to 3% of people are actively engaged in an app. So if you are not converting on that very first day, you're not going to be able to present your offer to nearly as many people. If you're giving a free 1 week free trial without asking for the credit card, all of a sudden, instead of showing nearly 100% of people that paywall, maybe 30% of the total users are going to see that paywall. So that's going to have a significant impact on the profitability of your app. So a company that has a really refined onboarding process is Headspace. So I'm going to walk you through what their process looks like, what they are doing well, and kind of some key elements of it. So starting in the App Store itself, their branding is all over the place. They have a clear brand identity. And the keywords that they're targeting here: sleep, meditation, mental health, wellness coach. It's very clear at what they're all about and what value they're going to provide. Once you install the app itself, you're hit with their welcome page, Headspace, and then they get you to engage in an active exercise. They get you to already start meditating right then and there, and already see some stress reduction benefit immediately. After they walk you through that exercise, they then get you to create the account. And something key that they do here is they have social sign-in. They have a lot of different options to sign into the app. So you can sign in with Apple, Google, Facebook, email. They make it very, very easy and frictionless to create an account. A lot of apps, when they're just starting out, they start with just like an email login, and a lot of times have to send a confirmation code to that email. And sometimes it doesn't arrive for 10, 15 minutes. And in those 10, 15 minutes, you've already lost them. There's a lot of people that are not that many people are going to have the patience to stick around with that unless it's a real urgent need. But yeah, like that's going to be a major friction point in the onboarding process if you are requiring that email. So I always recommend people to implement social sign-in to make this process as frictionless as possible. Next, it moves into the sell mode. So really reiterating the core value proposition: mindfulness for any moment, stress less, move more, sleep soundly. And then builds a little bit of social proof. Millions of people have downloaded it, essentially. And then it has some science back, so using some data to show why their solution is going to help the end user. Another key thing that they do here is ask a question. They ask an engaging question that is essentially the reason why people would be downloading this app in the first place. So essentially they're asking, why are you here? Reduce stress, manage anxiety, sleep soundly. And if you select one of those, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm here to solve that. And now they're the solution. They immediately then hit you with the paywall after and really present themselves as the solution to the stated problem of the user. So this is a very effective way of doing it. And it also has another benefit of figuring out the main reasons why people are downloading the app. This is very valuable data to then transfer into marketing campaigns, transfer into the overall copy that you have all over your marketing materials. So how do you track all of this data? How do you get these user insights and understand how people are interacting with your product? So on the no cost essential side of things, Firebase is the answer to your question there. Product analytics, understanding how people are progressing throughout the overall funnel, running A/B tests. They also have some features around crash reports, understanding why the app is failing. You can send out push notification engagement to users. And then for revenue tracking, you can just use the App Store data. It works. Like, you have to do some manual calculations if you're directly relying on that, especially if you want to understand the lifetime value of users, customer acquisition cost. So you do have to do a little bit of math if you're fully relying on App Store data, but it's enough to get started. And then an attribution tracker. I'll dive into that piece a little bit later on. And then once you're starting to scale up your operations and you're starting to get a little bit more sophisticated with your tracking, some tools that would be really great to incorporate is on the product analytics side, a tool like Mixpanel Amplitude. This allows you to much more visually see the exact user drop-off points. You're able to see heat maps, user journeys. So it can really take your product analytics to the next level. Product testing, A/B testing, Optimizely is a really great tool for that. And then push notifications and engagement, OneSignal, Braze, CleverTap, they all have solutions for that particular problem. And then for revenue tracking and understanding the monetary analytics, Adapty and RevenueCat are probably the two best options for that piece. RevenueCat is more directly just tracking those pieces, where Adapty, they also have some really great features around tracking or making remote config changes to the onboarding and paywall, so that you can run a lot more A/B tests at the top of the funnel and really optimize that onboarding process that I was just speaking about. So now that we've kind of optimized the product itself, now it's time to start scaling up acquisition, start getting more users downloaded. So what strategy should we implement? So there's a number of different strategies that you can implement to get users on your app. You can do App Store optimization, optimizing your App Store page, paid user acquisition across different social channels, product-led growth, as I was discussing before, organic content across social media, influencer marketing, traditional marketing, running TV, radio, podcast ads, publication and PR, and a direct B2B sales approach. So a good growth strategy definitely has a mix of a lot of these different elements. However, the core pieces are definitely App Store optimization and paid user acquisition. Those should be incorporated in pretty much every single app growth strategy. So starting with App Store optimization. So what is App Store optimization? App Store optimization is optimizing specific keywords in the App Store so you start to show up when those terms are being searched. App Store optimization is really important for your strategy. 65% of installs come from direct App Store traffic. So in order to start getting a share of that, you need to optimize these different factors so you start showing up. So App Store optimization helps increase visibility in app stores, reduces the customer acquisition cost, increases conversions. You can better capture interest into actual installs, and then build brand trust. So the App Store page is typically the first touch point that you really have with a lot of users. If people are going to install your app, they're going to be on that App Store page at least once. So we want to make sure that they've came to the right place. We are the solution to their problem. So the key components of App Store optimization include keyword research, so looking up and finding keywords and and key phrases, so combinations of keywords that is related to your app that people are actively searching in the App Store. Metadata updates, so inputting these keywords into the different areas of metadata. So the metadata is going to be the app title, subtitle, and hidden keyword field on the iOS side. And on the Google Play side, it's going to be the app title, short and long description. Another really key component is ratings and reviews. So we want to make sure that we are collecting as many 5-star ratings as possible. This really helps build out your App Store presence and starts increasing your overall rankings. So one thing that I always recommend everyone that I work with is just post the app all across your own social media. Ask your own personal network to download and give you a 5-star rating, because just that can really start boosting things up, especially at the very beginning as you're trying to claw your way up to getting a little bit of user traction. And then downloads. Downloads is a really key factor here. Like for the keyword meditation, if you're just starting out, you're not going to be able to rank number 1 for it. There's Headspace, Calm. They're going to dominate that word because they just have so many downloads. They have so many 5-star ratings. So instead, when you're first starting out, you want to be looking at more long tail combinations of these keywords. So some tips for conducting keyword research for App Store optimization is, first, just brain dump as many keywords as you can possibly think about. What I usually do here is set a timer for 25 minutes or so and just write down as many keywords as I can possibly think of related to the particular product. The next step is then leveraging AI tools. So AI tools like ChatGPT are really, really great for this brainstorm process. You can take that initial keyword list that you created yourself, add a description about the core value of the app into ChatGPT and just say, give me as many keywords as possible for this app. And it can spit out a bunch of very relevant keywords for you. But you also want to check how good these keywords are and what actual rankings they have. So for that, we want to leverage some ASO tools. So an ASO tool like App Radar, App Tweak. This would allow you to input all the keywords that you've generated into there see how many people are searching up those keywords on a monthly basis. What is the difficulty of ranking within the top 10? Are a lot of major competitors focused on those keywords, or is there some opportunity still in the market for you to input those keywords into your metadata and start ranking high for them? There's also some free tools that you can use to do some keyword generation. So using the Google Keyword Planner and Apple or App Store search ads keyword tool. This can start the process of building out those keywords. You're not going to be able to see the direct app data and how many people are searching those words up in the App Store. But you do get an idea of keywords that are likely to be popular. And then finally, analyze your competition. Understand what your competitors are currently ranking for. If you use a tool like AppRadar or AppTweak, you can actually get a comprehensive list of all the keywords that they're currently ranking for. And if they are a really big app, it's going to be in the thousands. So you can sift through all of those keywords, and you can find the ones that are most relevant to your app and which ones pose the biggest opportunity for you. The next part of App Store optimization is conversion rate optimization. So once people come to that App Store page, you want to make sure that you are converting them into installs. So the way that you do that is one, an app logo, making sure that you have an app logo that really represents your brand well, showcases what you do and why someone should download it. That can be a little bit difficult to do directly within app logo. But the screenshots, there's a lot more flexibility of what you can do. There's 8 total screenshots on the iOS side, 10 total on the Google Play side. So you can clearly explain what your app is all about and what value you provide in a very visually appealing way. I've done quite a bit of research in terms of how much time you have to convert interest into install. And people really don't give you much of a chance. They usually last on an App Store page between 10 to 20 seconds. So you need to make sure that you are clearly explaining why people should be downloading in a very scannable way. Make sure that that information is easily to digest. And then custom product pages. You can create a custom version of your App Store page with alternate designs for messaging and the overall screenshots to target different users, different use cases of your app. Localizing your app based on different regions around the world to match language, cultural, and vocabulary differences. And then a preview video. A preview video can really show why your app is the right solution. I don't usually recommend a preview video if you're just launching. The reason for that is products change quite a bit over the first couple of months. And these preview videos require you to have all in-app footage. So you're just going to be in a constant cycle of creating a new video, and they can definitely cost a little bit of money. So you're better off holding off on that piece until your product is a little bit more stable. So there's some key differences between the iOS store and the Google Play Store in terms of their ranking algorithm. The main one is the fact that on the iOS side, you only repeat a keyword a single time throughout app title, subtitle, and hidden keyword field. Whereas on Google Play, you want to repeat your main keywords as many times as possible between the title, short, and long description. It's really based off keyword density. If you're familiar with SEO, the Google Play side is a lot more similar to SEO because it's built by Google. So their algorithm is very similar to the Google search engine. So some other ranking factors that matter for both is the ratings and reviews, update frequency, and overall download statistics. And so some other key elements here is on the iOS side, your app title is a maximum of 30 characters. Actually, it's 30 characters for both iOS and Google Play. The subtitle on the iOS side is also 30 characters, and the hidden keyword field is 100 characters. Whereas on the Google Play side, the short description can be 80 characters, and the long description can be up to 4,000 characters. But as I was mentioning before, it's based off keyword density. So it's how many times those keywords are showing up out of the total amount of words between the app title, short, and long description. So you don't always want to fully maximize the space in the long description. Sometimes you're actually better off having a short, long description, and just making sure that you're focusing on those keywords within that period of time. So a company that does App Store optimization very well is, once again, Headspace. So that they repeat the core key value of the app in their main keywords. So sleep, meditation, mindfulness, and mental health. Those are all really, really valuable keywords, and there's a good reason why they've implemented them in those core areas of metadata. The screenshots, they get right to the point. The first one, award-winning, show some awards, build a little bit of credibility, and they just focus on main value: stress less, sleep soundly, learn to meditate in a few days. They don't overdo it with text. They get right to the point, focus on the value there. A company that doesn't do such a good job of ASO, and Andrew, if you're here today, I don't mean to be mean here, but there's definitely some room for optimization here. So what they are doing here is saying lose weight with AJ, Andrew Johnson, meditation. Like, I don't really get what they're about. Lose weight and then meditation. Like, are they a meditation app? Are they a weight loss app? And then the screenshots don't really help matters either. It's all in-app footage. They're not actually like screenshots that show that actually have copy and kind of showcase the main value propositions. It's literally just screenshots of the app itself. So there's definitely some room for optimization here. So if I was to manage their ASO, I would adjust things around a little bit. I would change the branding, like AJ, like lose weight with AJ, Andrew Johnson, meditation. Like those aren't, that's like a lot of characters that you'd be wasting on terms that wouldn't actually lead anywhere. Andrew Johnson, I believe, was a president of the United States, so it might give you some very confusing traffic there. So what I would suggest is changing it to something like Focus, keeping a short branded name. It's always great with an app name having a very few amount of characters, because then you can maximize the rest of the space in the app title. Mindful weight loss, and then meditation for a healthy life. So this gives us a lot more visibility. We rank for those individual keywords, but as I was mentioning before, we also rank for combinations of these keywords. So it would be like we would start ranking for mindful meditation, weight loss for a healthy life. So there's a lot more potential combinations of keywords and keyword phrases that we could rank for here. So some tools that you can use to really get the most out of an ASO strategy. So some of free tools for keyword generation. As I was mentioning before, Apple Search Ads, their autofill tool, Google Keyword Planner. And then on the paid side, there's a number of different tools that you can use, including App Figures, Sensor Tower, App Tweak, App Radar. These all give you insight into what competitors are ranking for, what keywords are actually leading to installs for you, and what keywords you should pull out of your metadata in the next update. From a cost perspective, Sensor Tower is super expensive, but App Figures AppTweak is a little bit more expensive than AppFigures and AppRadar. But AppRadar and AppFigures both have a very like $50 or so for their entry level. So you can get started with them, start doing some of that research, and you could always do month to month with them and just do one big update with them and then cancel the subscription if you're trying to go as lean as possible. So moving on to paid user acquisition. So the main channels to really focus your paid efforts for mobile apps include Apple search ads, so ads directly in the App Store. So it allows targeting based off specific keywords. This is usually the first place I start with any ad campaign. There's a number of different reasons for this, but one, you can start with a fairly low budget and start seeing installs pretty much right away. And it also boosts your organic rankings. So if you're committing a budget to Apple search ads, it's also going to help boost your rankings for organic keywords. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone there. The general cost per install is somewhere between $1 to $4 in install. This can definitely be all over the place. If you're bidding on super popular terms, like if you're bidding on the term Instagram, that's going to cost more than $4 an install. But for the most part, you can optimize a strategy to be within that general range. Facebook and Instagram, one of the largest social media platforms out there. It's really great for targeting specific demographics and interests. Typically, very high quality of install. These users are much more likely to actually become paying customers. Google Ads, large search and display network, great for targeting keywords and has a variety of different placements. YouTube, Google Play Store, and then their display network across many different websites. And then TikTok. TikTok is a little bit of an island of its own. They're a bit of a unique platform just in terms of what you need to do to make that platform successful. It's highly visual, has high engagement, but traditional ads that may work on Facebook, Instagram, Google are just not going to work here. You need to really blend into the organic content on the platform and not come across as an app or as an ad. Actually, one more thing on Apple search ads. Another key benefit of starting there is that you don't have to create additional creative assets. You don't have to create video ads. You don't have to create additional static banner ads. You just use the first 3 screenshots that you already have on your App Store page. So it's even less cost if you factor that in. Some other channels that are worth testing include third-party ad networks. This is a little bit more for mobile games. There's some ad networks that can offer some decent traffic, but for the most part, this doesn't make sense for a lot of apps unless you're really scaling things up and just looking for another source of traffic. But Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Reddit can all be good options depending on your target demographic. So some best practices when you're running paid user acquisition campaigns is one, choosing the right platform. So researching your target demographics, usage of different platforms, and show ads where they are. So if you're going after people between 45 to 65, TikTok is probably not the best channel for you. So make sure that you are putting placements where your target demographic actually is going to be. The next one is test, and test some more. Constantly be testing everything in your marketing campaigns. Test different imagery, test different messaging to really figure out what resonates most with your audience. And once you find those specific concepts, double down, start iterating on those concepts, do different variations to see if you can drive an even lower cost per install. Develop engaging content. Yeah, you want to make sure that the content you're creating is tailored to each of the platforms and really resonates with your target demographic and their goals. And then don't spread budget too thin. I mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation, but it is really important to make sure that you are fully optimizing your chosen platforms. Make sure to really focus in, hone in on 1 to 2 platforms before starting to scale your budget elsewhere. So some specific tactics that you can implement on Apple search ads is one, an ASO boosting strategy. So this is a strategy that I've implemented with a couple of people that I've worked with over the past year or so. So it's when you're launching into the market for the first time, there's a bit of an organic boost that you get in the algorithm. So you want to take advantage of this and push it even further. So you go to market with an aggressive ad budget, roughly $10,000 a month for 3 months. Bid on the highly relevant keywords to your app that you want to be ranking high for. And then after those 3 months, drop it down to like $2,500 or so. And then the results you're going to get is a big boost to your organic rankings that are going to maintain themselves even after you lower down the budget. You're going to get quick downloads. And if you are prompting users correctly in app, you're going to get some really great ratings and reviews. And to kind of go off on a bit of a tangent there, ask your users for ratings and reviews. Always ask for a 5-star rating. And you want to be asking kind of as early as possible in the app funnel. Of course, don't ask for a rating like the second they get onto the app, but try to find a moment in app that it's kind of the peak of their excitement. They just got value from you, and now you ask for something back. Competitor campaigns, so bidding on competitors' keywords and their branded terms and combinations of their branded terms to really capture some traffic from those competitors. And then general category campaigns. So conduct that keyword research that you did for ASO, identify keywords that you may not be able to organically rank for initially, and then put them in your paid ad budget, because Apple search ads, it gives you the ability to cut the line. You're going to be the very first person showing up in the App Store results for that keyword. So it can give you a lot of visibility and start getting you some downloads. So some tools that you can implement for user acquisition include attribution trackers. And these are 100% necessary if you want to be running ads across different channels. There was a client that I worked with 2 years ago or so, and they just outright refused to use an attribution tracker because of data concerns. And we still pushed through and tried to run campaigns on Facebook, and the results were extremely poor. The algorithm without this starts optimizing just for link clicks. So you're going to see a bunch of people going onto the App Store page, but very, very few are actually going to install the app. So some major players in the attribution tracking space include AppsFlyer and Adjust. And the key value that these tools provide is it gives you insight into the return on ad spend of your different campaigns, and really shows what actions are leading to the most amount of users onto your platform. It also passes post-installed data back to the ad channels for campaign optimization. So let's say you're running a campaign on Facebook, and the attribution tracker tells you that there's 100 people that downloaded the app from that campaign, and 30 of them actually went forward and became a subscribed user. You can now pass that data back to Facebook and say, I want you to target people that look like the people that actually went forward with a subscription. So you can really optimize the campaigns for specific actions of people that are more likely to go forward with a purchase. And then SCAD network and ATT prompt. So you may have seen a prompt when you download an app that asks you to opt in to being tracked. That's the ATT prompt. So if someone said yes to be tracked, you can now track their data. You can pass it back freely to the ad networks. If they say no, you now have to go through what is called the SCAD network. The SCAD network is an algorithm that somewhat predicts what specific campaign led to that install, but it is not identifiable down to the device level. So it still passes the data, but it's not direct one-to-one. So you want to try to increase that opt-in rate for the ATT prompt as much as possible, so that the data that you collect is as accurate as possible. From a competitive intelligence standpoint, Sensor Tower, Data AI, Mobile Action, App Magic, all really great tools that can give you insights into what competitors are doing, what their revenue looks like, how many installs they're getting. These tools are quite expensive, so probably not the first purchase for you to make, but they do all have some sort of free trial available. So you could go check out those platforms and see if there's some valuable insights that you can get about your market. And quickly, I'll go over some key metrics to track here. So there's a couple different areas that you want to be tracking metrics around. One, acquisition, activation, retention, referrals, and revenue. So in terms of acquisition, you want to be tracking your downloads. You want to understand how many downloads you're getting on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and also understand the growth rate. Are you continuing to get more downloads week over week, month over month, or are things starting to drop off? And if they are, figure out why, dive into the data, understand what is going on there. What are you doing differently now than you were 2 weeks prior? Cost per install, how much you're paying to acquire a single user, and then the App Store conversion rate, how well you're turning an impression into an actual install. Activation, the onboarding conversion rate, how well you're actually converting an install into a user. The free trial to paid conversion, so how many people that start a free trial actually go forward with the purchase at the end of it. And what these metrics really are looking at and measuring is, does your app provide quick value? Are they actually engaged with it? Do they see the value of going forward with your app? Retention, the stickiness ratio, which is daily active users divided by monthly active users. So how many people are coming, or how often are people coming on to your app? Are they logging in daily? Are they coming on a single time and then dropping off and really never returning? So really understanding that. User retention rates. So the average retention day 30 is roughly 3%. So 3% of users are still active after 30 days. So if you are less than this, you definitely want to look into it, see if there's some features that you could potentially implement to make sure that people are continuing to see value after that initial period. Speed and latency, is there any issues with the loading of the app, or is the app crashing? Are you running into any performance related issues? Average app rating, as I was mentioning before, these are vitally important to the success of an app. And then referrals, key factor and virality measures. So this is how many users a single user is going to bring in. So are people inviting their friends and family, or are you having to pay to acquire every single user? And then revenue per download, and lifetime value versus your customer acquisition cost. So how profitable are you really? For the lifetime value side of things, how much is a customer actually worth? And then customer acquisition cost, how much do you pay to acquire that user? So yeah, I've went through quite a few different strategies here, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And if I don't have time to get to all of your answers today, I could definitely provide you with my email and LinkedIn information, and we can follow up after this conversation.
Yeah, folks, if anybody has questions, please feel free to, go ahead and speak.
Hi, my name is Rochelle. I do have a question.
Mhm.
So my question is, from an Instagram point of view, what would be the best way to go on with, say, organic marketing? So marketing with more of content rather than paying for ads. What's the best way to do that? And if, I'm starting a Instagram page, how can I grow my page? How can I make sure that the content that I'm making is engaging enough to, grow my page, and how can I know, because there's different forms of content, there's posts, there's reels. How do I know that the topic I want to post about, this type of content goes well with this topic? How can I know that?
Yeah, I think the big thing is understanding your target market. Who are your customers? Well, what do they care about? And making sure that all the content that you are creating is in line with this. And also volume. Just start creating content. Start putting it out there. And if content doesn't resonate with the users, you can track that data. You can understand, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And over time, you're going to really start honing in on those specific types of content that your users really care about, and you can continue to build out your organic strategy.
Just from an
Okay.
Instagram point of view, there's a bit of a rule of thumb as well. Every 3 days, once every 3 days, if you are putting content out every once or 3 days, whether that be a post or a reel, that will create some organic growth, because how the Instagram or the meta algorithm is going to work, it's going to work based on the keywords and the hashtags that you put in there, but also frequency of posts. So you'll organically grow over time. So you might not see any interaction for about 6 weeks, but then you'll see that progressively get higher and higher. So when you find that you might get 1 or 2 views on a post, and then you become a little bit disheartened, but you'll see, say, over 6 weeks, that will start to increase to 50, 60, 70 interactions based on that post.
Great, thank you so much. I do have a second question though. My second question would be, how can I come up with a content strategy? How can I do that?
So it really depends on, it always comes back to your target demographic, and what they are going to care about. So I'll always go back to your customer, and really think of what they are going to resonate with. And are you speaking of this just from like a general content perspective, or are you thinking of it of like a posting schedule? What are you kind of really referring to in terms of the strategy?
Both. So a posting schedule and just an overall strategy for an Instagram account that's now beginning.
Yeah. So post as often as possible. As Zane was mentioning, every 3 days. That's a really great starting point, and it depends on how much time you have available. If you are working full time, there is going to be some constraints, but organic content, the only real cost is time. So if you have a lot of time available, just start building out as much content as you possibly can, and start putting it out. And yeah, put it out as often as you possibly can, and at least every 3 days.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, not a problem.
Well, I think in the interest of time, we might wrap it up there, Tegan. I think what I'd like to do is let everyone know that at the top of this post as well, I have put through Appomate's website, as well as a meeting link to my calendar specifically. Through there, you'll be able to book in some time to have a chat with me specifically around whatever it takes to be where you're at in your journey. I want to be really clear. The reason why we do these webinars and we show where we can actually help you is because we are an end-to-end solution. So not only are we able to build out a product for you, we're also there to be able to grow the product for you as well. You'll find that other development agencies out there don't quite speak to the business side of it, but it's 50% of the role is creating a business, and we're there to partner with you from a one-step solution. So would love to have a chat with you wherever you're at in your journey, whether it's help with the validation and trying to flesh out your idea. If you've already got something in play at the moment, or if you're actually looking to start scaling your business, we can help you. So please feel free to book into my calendar. go through our website to put that through as well. And I'd love to chat to you in the future.
Cool. Thanks, guys. And then on behalf of the Startup Network, I really appreciate our friends over here at Appomate. We just, every single time we do a virtual event with you folks, I learn so much. And so just in case you missed anything, don't worry, this is all recorded. We'll have it up on the YouTube channel shortly, right after this. And then again, we'll have some information sent out, whether it's links or email addresses for anybody to reach out. Appomate does a fantastic job and they solve a lot of these issues for you. But they're also just a great community member. So if you have any questions, feel free just to reach out. We will be having more virtual events coming up. Please check our website, thestartupnetwork.com. Plenty more in August. I can't believe it's August already. Wow. But yeah, I'll let you guys go now and have a fantastic day and an upcoming weekend. Hopefully it's not too cold. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for